Hello and a warm welcome to you on this edition of Business Africa. I am Afolake Oyinloye. Coming up, the UN tasks the private sector to play a role in combating Africa's major challenges like poverty and corruption. How can results reach Africa thrive in global markets? Some experts believe economic intelligence is the answer. Morocco will stop at nothing to control this dusty truck stop with few shops and motels. We explore Gujarat's economic potential. The private sector can play a significant role in Africa's development, and the UN Global Compact is working with governments and other stakeholders to promote responsible business practices. At a recent virtual event organized by this UN body, businesses discussed ways in which they can recover from the coronavirus pandemic, while contributing to the fight against poverty, corruption, and human rights abuses, among other challenges.
The business landscape in sub-Saharan Africa is marked by many opportunities, but also beset by complex challenges, as there is a growing awareness of how issues like poverty, corruption, and education affect market growth. Many are beginning to recognize how the development of the private sector plays an important role in poverty alleviation by providing decent work opportunities for all Africans, and in particular, women and the youth. Raising awareness of responsible business practices in Africa is an important aspect of the UN Global Compact's Africa strategy, which links the private sector with all the continent's stakeholders, including governments and the civil society, to build more integrated markets, more resilient societies, and achieve sustainable growth. Currently, African local networks, which strive to enhance understanding of these practices within the national and regional context, organize several outreach, learning, and reporting activities in various areas. To eradicate poverty, social and economic growth are fundamental, and this UNGC mission seeks to promote collective action on how the private sector can both employ and empower the next generation of workers on the continent.
Sanda Ojembo, CEO and Executive Director of the UN Global Compact, joins us from New York to discuss on how African businesses can emerge stronger from the recent crisis. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Now, what is corporate sustainability and why is it important?
The notion really that businesses must conduct their businesses responsibly and sustainably. I think now more than ever, as we've seen during this pandemic period, it's really important for businesses to be relevant to customers and to citizens. At the UN Global Compact, we call for and support businesses to deliver both business benefit and real value to society, and also to contribute to the Sustainable Development Goals. But to be sustainable, as you've asked, companies need to do a couple of things. But first and foremost, they really must operate responsibly and in alignment with the principles of the UN Global Compact. And also, companies must take action to support the society around them. And for us at the UN Global Compact, these actions are respect for human rights, labor, the environment, and anti-corruption. And then companies really must push corporate sustainability deep into their corporate DNA, into their business strategy, and commit both at the highest level and through the business to act responsibly and also to report annually on their efforts and engage locally where they have a presence.
As cases continue to rise in Africa, how can businesses who have long been hit by months of restrictions and loss of revenues thrive and adapt in this new normal?
You know, the truth is, for the African continent, the economic effects of COVID were felt far ahead of the health effects, given the early lockdowns and the restriction on movements. And this subsequently impacted businesses, and more importantly for Africa, the SME sector. But, you know, over time through this pandemic, we've really seen that the connection between the bottom line and the company's environmental, social, and governance practices is very clear. Businesses really cannot survive and thrive if society around them is failing at a large scale. So the well-being of workers, communities, and the planet is inextricably linked to the health of business. I think the smart choice for business leaders in Africa and certainly around the world is to now look at how they can proactively manage their company's operations and their value chain, looking at risks and looking at opportunities, but I think most importantly, focusing on resilience. What does resilience mean in your supply chain? What does resilience mean for your future and for your people? I think if anything, we've seen that business cannot operate separately from large-scale society upheaval and change. They will be impacted. So it's very important that businesses in Africa respond accordingly, moving beyond basic responsibilities to provide services with a joint social, societal, and economic return, publicly advocating for government policies that advance sustainability priorities, and more importantly, rallying together and collaborating with peers to make systemic changes that, as I said, focus on resiliency of business.
So please help us to understand the link between corruption, human rights, the environment, business growth, and performance.
So at the UN Global Compact, we have 10 principles which are really designed to guide business policy and conduct, with reference to the notion of doing no harm. Our 10 principles, and you've referenced them, around corruption, human rights, the environment, are drawn from key UN conventions and declarations. And we believe, in short, that companies must work together, not just to make profit, but really to make the world's problems better. At a very fundamental level, if I take one of those examples, corruption keeps money out of the formal system. It creates and drives further inequality. And, specifically on the African continent, I feel corruption has created a huge barrier to entry for many businesses who want to do good business. So I think, all companies need to take fundamental steps, respecting employee rights, managing their environmental footprint, saying no to bribery, extortion, and corruption. And I think that will really lend itself to a very robust and sustainable business environment, and also help companies make progress towards achieving the very important sustainable development goals.
Well, thank you very much, Sandra, for joining us on the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
This is Business Africa if you're just joining us. Now, can Africa's most pressing problems be solved by efficiently integrating with the world's economy? The resource-rich continent can generate a lot of wealth to improve the lives of its inhabitants, but often these resources are exploited to benefit only the rich. Here is more to that story.
Like the rest of the world, African countries are working overtime to revive their economies following the devastating coronavirus pandemic. According to the World Bank, 83% of global population growth between 2015 and 2100 is expected to come from Africa.
Economic intelligence allows for anticipation, first to understand the functioning of the economic sector around the world. It helps identify opportunities, identify priorities, and then to anticipate. It will allow African states to be better prepared and finally better face the economic challenges that facing the world today.
Aux défis économiques et liés au monde auquel les États africains font face aujourd'hui.
If African countries are to recover from the coronavirus pandemic and thrive going forward, resources must be protected and exploited in a better and more equitable way.
It is important for Africa to integrate into the global economy, for countries to develop, but at the same time, urgent problems will only be solved if governance problems related to the legitimacy of institutions and the management of public funds are first managed.
The development of information technology can play a role in helping countries to navigate economic and information wars in the global markets.
For a border outpost with just 3 motels, 3 cafes, 3 grocery stores, 2 gas stations, and a hairdresser, one might find Guguret's description as Morocco's getaway to Africa a little far-fetched. And yet, 2 weeks ago, Morocco launched a military operation along this border, arguing it was done in the interest of Africa and Europe.
This might be a dusty frontier truck stop in the far south of the disputed Western Sahara. But locals term Guguret as Morocco's gateway to Africa. On the border with Mauritania, the remote outpost consists of 3 motels, 3 cafes, 3 grocery stores, 2 gas stations, and a hairdresser. The border post of Gagarat has a very important economic weight at the national level and generates important revenues at all levels. This hotel, the oldest in the Gagarat region, hosts people of all nationalities: Malians, Senegalese, Ivorians, Mauritanians, and others come here for business. It's a city that just started not even long ago, but the social aspect is starting to progress. We're concerned about the road blockage, which slowed down the economy a bit. Western Sahara, a vast swath of desert on Africa's Atlantic coast, is a disputed former Spanish colony. Morocco controls about 3/4 of the territory, including its phosphate deposits and fishing waters.
That's it for Business Africa this week. We hope you've been inspired to use your business to make a difference in your community beyond making sales and maximizing profits. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.